The Trump administration made another announcement yesterday with respect to the environment. Explain what that was.
Yeah, this is extremely significant, Errol. The EPA under Administrator Lee Zeldin announced a flurry of actions yesterday, around 31 actions seeking to roll back key environmental regulations, including rules on pollution from coal power plants, electric vehicles, air quality standards, and most significantly, Errol, he said the EPA will consider a key 2009 scientific finding which said greenhouse gases are a danger to the public and need to be regulated. Zeldin took to social media, also penned an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, calling this the most consequential day of deregulation in American history. He went on to say we are, quote, driving a dagger through the heart of climate change religion and ushering in America's golden age. He went on to talk about lowered costs for American families because of these moves to deregulate. But note that environmentalists and former EPA officials sounding the alarm, saying that this could take the U.S. back decades before there were regulations on pollution in the United States. Keep in mind, the EPA was created by President Nixon in 1970 out of concern for deteriorating air quality. This is an agency designed to protect the environment and public health. So environmental groups, you know, they are promising a legal fight here, saying this will be a long process. We also saw similar legal challenges against the Trump administration during his first time in the White House as he moved to deregulate and roll back some environmental protections.
Yeah, quite significant announcements there, Natalie. Thanks for joining us from the White House. And now we want to dig in deeper on this topic with Meghan Greenfield. She is a former senior lawyer for the Justice Department and served as senior counsel for litigation for the EPA. Good morning to you, and thanks for joining us. Help us understand how unprecedented these announcements are by the EPA and Administrator Zeldin.
Right. So I think it's really interesting. Yesterday, we heard that Administrator Zeldin intends over time to withdraw a series of regulations protecting the air, water, and cleaning up waste. I think it's worth noting, though, too, that much of this isn't new. It was announced early on in the administration in the executive orders. So this is really a repackaging of something that most of it we've already heard.
And considering President Trump had laid some of this out in an executive order, which in a way circumvents Congress because it strengthens what presidents and the executive branch can do, legally, can the EPA revoke some of these regulations? Will this effort overall be successful without the joint effort of Congress?
Right. So the devil really is in the details here. These rules were promulgated, or they were finalized after input from states, from the public, and from industry. And to take them back requires detailed scientific findings by agency experts and also legal analysis. To have that stand up in court, that all takes a lot of work and a lot of time, typically many months to more than a year for each of these actions. And so, as I said before, it really depends what process the agency takes. And one thing that I think is interesting here is that there's some tension between this very long list of rules that the agency intends to take back and the statements at the same time that they intend to cut staff. So there's a lot of tension there, and it's unclear how that will all work out.
Okay, so if I'm reading between the lines, it seems as though you're saying there might be legal challenges to whatever happens, and in that case, the data would have to support the decisions. I want to ask you about this suggestion that the EPA will review the 2009 findings that greenhouse gases are a danger to public health, for example. How might that play out?
Right. So the 2009 finding is a scientific finding that EPA issued nearly 2 decades ago that has already withstood legal challenge. And so to change that will require, again, more detailed scientific findings and legal analysis. Once that is finalized, I would expect that to face a legal challenge by environmental groups, by states, by the public. If it is successful, it will jeopardize the rules that have been promulgated or that are based on that endangerment finding. But that is still to be said, like it's in the future, so it's unclear how this will all play out.
But the consequences seem significant. If the EPA and its administrator were successful in undoing that 2009 finding, what might that affect?
Right. So a number of rules are based on that 2009 finding. So if you think of oil and gas regulations, regulations for greenhouse gases from cars and for power plants, those are all based on that 2009 finding. And so they would be put into jeopardy if that finding were withdrawn, which creates uncertainty for regulated parties and for the states.
Certainly affects all of us. Meghan Greenfield, we appreciate your insight on this. Thanks for joining us.